They say your wedding day is supposed to be the happiest day of your life. Mine was. But it was also the day I had to say goodbye to the man who gave me everything. My name is Maya. I'm 28 years old. And this is the story of how I got married in a hospital hallway, just so my daddy could walk me down the aisle one last time. It's 5:47 in the morning, and I'm standing in this cold hospital corridor, staring at my father through a window. The fluorescent lights are flickering above me, and there's this bouquet of white roses sitting on a plastic chair next to me, wilting just like everything else in this place. I press my hand against the glass and watch his chest rise and fall with the help of machines. I've been here every single day for the past 3 months, and I've cried so much that I didn't think I had any tears left. But here I am, clutching my grandmother's rosary, whispering prayers I don't even believe will be answered anymore. I'm not praying for a miracle. I'm just praying for time. Just a little more time with the only parent I've ever really known. Let me tell you about my daddy, Marcus, because if you're going to understand why I did what I did, you need to know who he was. I was 5 years old when my mother left. Just walked out one Tuesday morning and never looked back. I don't even remember her face clearly anymore, but I never felt her absence. You know why? Because my father became everything. I'm talking about a man who sat on the bathroom floor at midnight, watching YouTube tutorials on how to cornrow hair, because he refused to let me go to school looking raggedy. He got it wrong so many times, but he kept trying. And when I laughed at how crooked my parts were, he'd laugh too and say, "We'll get it right tomorrow, baby girl." As you continue watching, endeavor to like and subscribe and let us know where you're watching from. This was a man who bought a sewing machine from Goodwill and taught himself how to use it just so he could fix my school uniforms. A man who worked 2 jobs, morning shifts at the warehouse, evening shifts doing security at the mall, but never, and I mean never, missed a parent-teacher conference or a school recital. He was the only father sitting in those tiny classroom chairs at PTA meetings, taking notes, asking questions about my progress, volunteering to chaperone field trips even though it meant losing a day's pay. I remember when I was 10, I asked him why he didn't have a girlfriend. He knelt down, looked me straight in the eyes and said, "Baby girl, you'll always have me. I'll play every role until you don't need me anymore." I thought I'd never stop needing him. I was so sure we'd have forever. 6 months ago, the doctors told us it was stage 4 pancreatic cancer. I'll never forget the way those words felt coming out of that doctor's mouth. Stage 4. Pancreatic cancer. Each word hit me like a punch to the chest. My father, the strongest man I'd ever known, was dying. He fought it the way he fought everything in life, with his head held high, cracking jokes with the nurses telling me not to worry so much. But I could see it. The way the cancer was eating away at him, stealing pieces of who he was day by day. Now I come here every single day after work. I read to him James Baldwin, Langston Hughes, all his favorites. I bring him sweet potato pie from Miss Janet's diner, the one we used to go to every Sunday after church. I massage lotion into his hands because the chemo left his skin so dry and cracked it breaks my heart to touch it. The doctors started using words like comfort care and hospice. They stopped talking about treatment and started talking about making his final days peaceful. But how do you make peace with losing the man who sacrificed everything for you? The man who worked himself to the bone so you could go to college? So you could have a better life than he ever had? I can't. I won't. But I also can't stop what's happening. It was a Thursday afternoon when I finally told him about David. I pulled my chair close to his bed and took his hand. God, his hands used to be so strong, so rough from years of construction work. Now they felt like paper in mine, so fragile I was afraid I'd break him just by holding on. "Daddy," I said, "I need to tell you something." His eyes opened slowly. Even through all the pain and medication, those eyes were still full of love. The same eyes that watched me learn to walk, that dried my tears when boys broke my heart, that beamed with pride at my college graduation. "I met someone," I told him. "His name is David. He's kind, Daddy. He's patient. He makes me laugh the way you used to make me laugh. And he wants to marry me." A single tear rolled down my father's cheek. His lips moved, barely a whisper. "You know how lucky he is?" I laughed through my tears. I told him. Every single day. He squeezed my hand with what little strength he had left. "Then you have my blessing, baby. You deserve everything good in this world." But I saw it in his eyes. That fear. That unspoken goodbye. He was blessing a wedding he didn't think he'd live to see. That night, I went home and sat on my bedroom floor surrounded by wedding magazines, venue brochures, and a timeline that had our wedding scheduled for 6 months from now. 6 months my father didn't have, and I completely fell apart. I cried harder that night than I'd cried through this entire nightmare. I sobbed until my throat was raw and my head was pounding, surrounded by all these glossy pictures of perfect weddings in perfect venues with perfect decorations. And then it hit me. None of that mattered. Not the venue, not the guest list, not the flowers or the fancy cake or the Instagram-worthy moments. What mattered was the one person who'd been there for every single important moment of my life. The man who walked me to my first day of school, who sat front row at my graduation, who held me when my heart got broken and told me I deserved better. The man who deserved to walk me down the aisle. I picked up my phone at 2 a.m. and called David. "Baby," I said, my voice shaking, "I need to ask you something and I need you to really hear me." "Anything," he said immediately. "I want to get married this weekend. In the hospital. So my daddy can walk me down the aisle." The silence on the other end felt like forever. Then David said the words that made me know I was marrying the right man. "Tell me what you need me to do." For the next 3 days we became miracle workers. David contacted the hospital chaplain. My best friend Renee rallied everyone who loved us. The nurses, these beautiful angels who'd watched me sit vigil for months, they volunteered to help transform that cold, sterile hallway into something sacred. Someone donated white roses. Someone else brought tea lights. A nurse found white fabric to drape along the walls. Another brought a portable speaker for music. I didn't tell my father. I wanted it to be a surprise. One last beautiful surprise for the man who'd surprised me with love my entire life. Saturday morning came soft and golden, and when I walked into that hospital hallway, I couldn't believe what I saw. It looked like something out of a dream. White roses lined the corridor. Tea lights flickered in small glass holders along the windowsills. Patients peeked from their doorways, some already crying. The hospital chaplain, Sister Louise, stood at the end of the hallway in her robes, smiling with tears in her eyes. I walked into my father's room wearing a simple white dress. Not the elaborate gown I'd picked out, but something comfortable, something that felt right for this moment. I knelt beside his bed and took his hand. "Daddy," I said, "I'm getting married today. Right here. Right now. And I need you to walk me down the aisle." His eyes went wide. "Baby, I can't. I'm too weak." "Yes, you can," I said firmly, squeezing his hand. "You've never missed a single important moment in my life. You're not missing this one." 2 nurses helped him into a wheelchair. He was trembling, barely able to hold himself upright. But when I handed him my bouquet to hold for me, his grip was iron. David stood at the end of that hallway in his simple suit, hands clasped, tears already streaming down his face. The music started. A soft, soulful melody someone played from their phone, and I began to walk beside my father's wheelchair, one hand resting on his shoulder. With every step, I remembered everything. His hand holding mine on my first day of kindergarten. Him teaching me to ride a bike, running behind me until I found my balance. Him sitting front row at my high school graduation, cheering louder than anyone else. Him holding me when boys broke my heart, telling me I was worth more. Him being more. Always more than I ever deserved. Halfway down the aisle, my father raised a shaking hand. "Stop," he whispered. My heart dropped. But then my father did something that made everyone in that hallway break down. He stood up. The nurses rushed forward, but he waved them off with one trembling hand. His legs were shaking so badly I thought he'd collapse. His breathing was labored and painful, but he wrapped his arm around mine and together we took the last 10 steps. Patients in doorways were weeping openly. Nurses covered their mouths. Even the doctor making rounds stopped and removed his glasses to wipe his eyes. When we reached David, my father looked at him, really looked at him, and said in a voice barely above a whisper, "You love her the way I loved her. Like she's your whole world. You promised me that." David was crying so hard he could barely speak. "I promise, sir. I swear it." Sister Louise kept the ceremony short and beautiful. David and I exchanged simple vows, and when he slipped that ring on my finger, I looked over at my father sitting in that wheelchair, tears streaming down his face, smiling wider than I'd seen him smile in months. After we were pronounced husband and wife, I didn't kiss David first. I ran to my father. I fell to my knees in front of his wheelchair and buried my face in his lap, sobbing like a child. He stroked my hair with those weak, trembling hands and whispered, "I'm so proud of you, baby girl. So proud. I love you, Daddy," I cried. "I love you so much." "I know, baby. I know." His voice was fading, but his words were clear. "And now I can rest, because you won't be alone anymore." We wheeled him back to his room. David and I sat with him for hours, holding his hands, telling him stories, laughing through our tears. That night, at 11:47 p.m., with me holding one hand and David holding the other, my father took his last breath. He waited. He held on just long enough to see me married, to see me loved, to see me safe, and then he let go. People ask me if I regret not having a real wedding, if I wish I'd had the big venue, the hundreds of guests, the Pinterest-perfect decorations, and I tell them the truth. I had the realest wedding anyone could ever have. I got married in a hospital hallway with 20 people watching. My bouquet was wilting. My dress was simple. There was no champagne toast or fancy reception, but my father walked me down the aisle. The man who sacrificed everything, who loved me unconditionally, who played every role I ever needed. He got to see me begin the next chapter of my life. I learned something that day that I'll carry with me forever. Love isn't about appearance. It's not about venues or aesthetics or how many likes you get on social media. Love is about presence. It's about sacrifice. It's about showing up for the people who matter, even when it's hard, even when it hurts, even when the world says you should wait for a better moment. My father taught me that my entire life, and in his final act of love, he proved it one last time. So yeah, I got married in a hospital hallway, and it was the most beautiful wedding I could have ever asked for.